Hi, grade eights. Okay, so this will be the last question I'm going to model for you. Just going to switch this over here. And this question might be a little bit different. We'll see here. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so George is a carpenter. He has a rewards card for the hardware store he uses. He receives 40 points for every $1 he spends. He could use the points to get savings on future purchases. Copy and complete the table showing the dollar amount spent in relation to the number of points received. So while we can do that, all I've done is redone this table just a little bit bigger to accommodate the bigger pen. So $1 spends means he gets 40 points. So obviously if he gets 2, he could get what? Oh, let's call that 80, right? And of course, this is going to be a pattern. 124. And this is 160. And of course, if he spends $5, he would get, 200. Okay. So it says, how many points does George for spending $100? Well, you know what? There's lots of ways of solving this, okay? You could just solve it through like a sort of a simple ratio comparison, right? Ratio comparison. All right. And sometimes, even though I use fancy language there, it's a ratio comparison. I know some of my students are doing this in their head and they're just going, look, Mr. Smith, I'll translate this for you. What's going on in your head? Mr. Smith, if $1 gives me 40, then surely $100, right? $100, which is 100 times bigger, should be 100 times bigger here, right? So if I times this by 100, 1 times 100 gives me $100, 40 times 100, well, wouldn't that be just 4,000 points? And the answer is yes. Okay? I really don't believe in like there's only one way to solve this problem. No, there's lots of ways. Some of you might have been able to do a simple formula, right? So you could say spent, right? So the points is equal to 40, right? I guess maybe we should put a D here for dollars. Just, I don't know. I think dollars might make more sense here. So you could have said, oh, so do you see how you could see here we started with a table of values. And I'm saying to you, the other questions we started with an equation. But from the table of values, you could get an equation, right? If you think it through, all right? So points received, I just chose the letter P. I started with the letter S, changed my mind. You can change your mind, and I went with D. So what happens when D is equal to, say, 1? Or what if it was equal to a 2? I'm just swapping out a bunch of numbers here. What if D was equal to 3? What if you spent 4 and 5? What if you spent $100? You can skip around, right? The lovely thing about an equation, if you're able to get the equation, it's your ultimate shortcut because now you can solve any question. And hey, because look at question C there, all right? So the answer for question B, though, let me just circle this in green. Okay, question B, all right, I did it up here, is 4,000 points, okay? 4,000 points. Now, George can get a hammer for 100,000 points. How much money does he have to spend to get the hammer? So now, look what we have. If we knew how many points he needed, could we figure out the D? In other words, let me write this over. Actually, let me do it a different color. First, let me do it a different color so that we don't confuse our work. Okay, so C is going to be red, all right? So let's start with our formula. Points is equal to 40 points for every single dollar. Now look, it's asking you to work backwards. In other words, how many dollars would he have to spend if we knew he had a goal? In this case, the goal was 100,000 points. 100,000 points equals 40D. So in other words, can we just take the points and divide it by the rate of 40 points per dollar? Yes, we can. So what is 100,000 divided by 40? Well, I know 1 0 cancels out that 0. And now you've got, what is that, 10,000 divided by 4. So that's 2,500 bucks. Woo! That's a lot of money just to get his free hammer. I'm not sure that's a great deal. Okay? So the answer is 2,500. Now, there's another way you could have set it up. You could have set up a ratio. You could have said, Mr. Smith, I know that the ratio of 1 to 40 is the same as X is to 100,000. And you know what you could have done here? You could have cross-multiplied. This would have looked like a little bit of a cross-multiplying thing, right? 1 over X, 40 to 100,000. Okay? And by the way, I'll show you a different way to set this up. But anyways, you could, what did I tell you? Cross-multiply the two numbers that are opposite. So 1 times 100,000. 100,000. And then the number that goes with the X, that's the number you divide by. So that's a 0. Sorry about that 0, guys. And that is equal to your X, or in this case, D. All right, X is the same. My unknown was a D. I should have put a D here. All right. The other way you could set it up is start with the same ratio and just say 1 is to 40 as X is to 100,000. See, there's lots of ways of doing this, grade 8s. It doesn't matter. And I'm not trying to confuse you by doing it multiple ways, but it is kind of important that you understand. Okay, now I'm going to get my head out of the way here. 1 is to 40. In other words, you can set up the fraction this way. So this 1 goes up. This becomes your denominator. This 1 goes up to be your numerator. This one. And guess what? It's the same cross-multiplying. Okay? Now, so for some of you that say an X works out to be the same thing, guys. X is going to be 2,500. All right? I guess I could put D for dollars. D is equal to $2,500. 2,500. I know technically in the metric system you're not supposed to use a comma. I don't care. Whatever. A lot of students in my class might say, I'm able to figure this out in my head. And that's good. That's fine. And there's nothing wrong with mental math. But then you have to be able to reasonably explain what you did, why you did it, how you did it. Okay? I don't mind that, you don't have to draw out everything that I did. And certainly you don't have to do it 3 different ways the way I did. But you got to be able to explain what you did, how you did it, why you did it. All right. That's it. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next week. Okay? Take it easy, grade 8s. See ya.